The nation's tuned into him for 17 years. And for that, I know, that's how old you are, Greg. And the last 6 millions of people across the country have woken up each morning with Radio 1's Greg James.
Yeah, but when breakfast is over and Greg heads home, he's recently been acting like a bit of a twit. Oh, you're not a twit. You're not a twit.
No, I am a twit. You're all right.
Absolutely true. That's because he's been hard at work bringing back to life. This is such an honour.
Yeah.
Two of the world's most loved children's characters, Roald Dahl's The Twits. Greg, my mind is blown at this, especially the story of how this even come along. There is no way that you would ever believe that such a protected brand, let's say, like Roald Dahl or anything like that, would just go, yeah, go on, have it.
Trusted Greg.
Well, yeah, what happened?
Well, we're amazing, and they said, do you want to write a new adventure? Well, so I've been writing children's books with Chris Smith for about 8 years now.
Yeah.
We did the Kid Normal series, and we were due to release another one of our own books this year, but then this came along. The Roald Dahl Story Company, as you said, had an idea. They said, do you want to write a story with the Twits? We will allow you to do it. And we went, yep, absolutely.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, because, you know, Roald Dahl, Matilda, Danny Champion of the World, the Twits, they were the first books that I ever read as a kid. Got me into reading, and the stories are still incredible. The characters are still incredible. They're loved. But the original Twits was like nearly 40 years ago.
It's a long
so
time.
it is amazing. We didn't actually think about that while we were writing because you get overwhelmed. But we had such a great time writing a brand new adventure. It's not a retelling. This is a new story. We've added some new characters to it, but you've still got the disgusting, revolting Twits at the centre of it.
Wow. So you've been, you know, have the responsibility of bringing in all these new characters. What are they like?
So the idea is it's called The Twits Next Door.
Yeah.
And imagine the Twits have some new neighbours, and imagine you move in next door to the Twits. That's essentially the premise. So this family you can see behind me...
Oh, these are all the illustrations from the book?
Yeah, these are the amazing illustrations of Emily
goodness.
Jones. They're incredible. This whole thing has been such a joy to do. So the lovely family live next door. And we thought, what's the funniest thing? Let's put the loveliest, most saccharine family next door to these horrible, nasty Twits and see what happens. And can the lovely family ever think that anyone's not lovely? Because they look positively on the world. They think everything's joyful. They think everything's brilliant. But they face to face with the Twits. And also, the Twits hate anyone that's happy. They hate other people. They hate kids more than anything. And we thought, let's put some kids and a lovely family next door to them and see what happens.
Well, look, here is the book, The Twits Next Door. It's by Greg and Chris Smith. It's so exciting that you've got to do this. And like you said, with Kid Normal and everything, we know how fantastic you guys are. But to take that name at the top, Roald Dahl, on your book, how does that feel?
Well, it was weird because we weren't overwhelmed by it, really, because we are fans of these characters and these stories. So we didn't want to let ourselves down.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we were sitting there going, we mustn't let the children down. It was like, we know these characters really, really well. We know we can play with them, essentially, because they're so well known. Yeah. There's a shorthand already. People know about the disgusting beard. Yeah. They know about the hair and the flies around their head and stuff. So people know already about these characters.
But where can we take them now?
Yeah, and we added some new people into the mix, like the lovely family, and put some kids in it. We love writing young characters in our stories anyway.
For kids as well.
So Kid Normal was a group of kids, and all the other books we've done have been centred around a group of kids. So we're like, actually, maybe 2 kids in this story would be fantastic.
The Twits would be quite fun. We're in a bit of a setting here, Greg, where I've got to say, this sofa's quite low for us.
Yeah.
It feels like we just want to do this. You look like you could be doing a little bedtime story for us.
Got the voice for it.
Would you like a little story?
Yes.
Yes, please. We would love a story.
OK, this is your bedtime story.
Thank you.
OK, so we do the... oh, wow, we're getting...
Yeah, babe, we got a bucket.
It's bedtime, dear. What budget? Just turn the lights down.
Yeah.
So we also do these in audiobook. So Chris does the narration and I do all the voices. I put my drama degree to good use.
Here we go.
So here we go. There's a little bit of the book which features the 2 kids. This is Rough and Tumble. And basically their parents, the lovelies, don't believe the kids that these people are actually horrible and are playing pranks on them. So the kids decide to break into the Twits' house to get some evidence to show their mum and dad and go, look, these people are nasty. They are trying to get you out of the house. So here we go with a scene where Rough and Tumble, the 2 kids, are hiding in a wardrobe in Mr. and Mrs. Twits' house. The twins darted into the wardrobe and closed the door just as Mrs. Twit reached the top of the stairs. Unfortunately for Rough and Tumble, the wardrobe was exactly where Mrs. Twit was heading. She'd come upstairs to fetch a coat. But when she opened the wardrobe door, she was startled to find two very similar-looking children inside staring back at her. Mrs. Twit let out a long yowl like a scorched seagull and collapsed on the bedroom floor. Rough and Tumble, terrified, screamed right back at her. "What is it? What's going on?" yelled Mr. Twit from downstairs, hearing the yelp and the thump. "Demons!" screamed Mrs. Twit. "There's demons in the wardrobe! Wardrobe demons!" Mr. Twit rushed upstairs. "They're not demons, you daft wash basin!" he snarled, peeking nervously round the bedroom door. "It's worse than that. It's children!" yelled Mrs. Twit in disgust, fumbling for her thwacking stick. The twins, desperate to escape from this foul couple, leaped out of the wardrobe and darted under the closest bed. "Poke 'em out!" urged Mrs. Twit, and she got down on her tummy, thrusting her stick beneath the bed like a snooker cue. "We'll catch 'em and bake 'em into a lovely pie."
Oh, my
amazing.
God! That was
Good night.
the best story time I think I've ever heard in my life.
You come round and do that for us,
Love to.
please, just one night.
Yeah,
Just
love to.
So good,
Yeah.
all the voices.
The voices are impressive.
One of the things we like to do when we write these is we like to go to schools and go to libraries and do shows for kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the really fun things is because I don't know if you can tell, I love performing.
Yeah.
But I like encouraging kids to sort of read stories, but also let them know that you can write them. Because when I was a kid, a radio presenter came to my school as a sort of guest. And it was the first time I saw a human being who was doing a job that I wanted to do. And that's quite straightforward, that little connection, you don't think how important that is. But actually, if a kid sees an author come to the school, they go, "Oh, that's just a person. I could do that."
Yeah, I could do
and
that.
that's one of the things is that we like getting out there and doing those sorts of things.
And what's been the responses from the kids, you know, when you're doing all those voices and
They
reading
hate it.
those stories? Do they? What they get?
No, it's really good. The first chapter actually
Yeah.
is we set the tone quite quickly with a chapter called "Mrs. Twit fills the toilet with wasps."
Fine.
So we start with that one in the school events, and essentially it's a whole chapter about Mr. Twit sitting on a toilet full of wasps, and they love that sort of thing. So they love
Love it.
but kids love that sort of revolting thing. Of
course they do.
That sort of mean thing, and also the baddies not winning. Like
Yeah.
the Twits don't win. Like spoiler, but that it's important
Brilliant,
that they
I don't
don't, and that sort of love and happiness and like silliness prevails really over these nasty two.
But the audiobook, I mean, if that's anything to go by, it's going to be incredible. Did you base Mrs. Twit on an angry Alan Carr?
Well, actually, do you know what? The voice is not a million miles away from a sort of a slightly more screechy Ryland.
Oh, OK, fine.
Really?
I can hear a little...
I think you can do a good Mrs. Twit, can you?
I'll be all right.
See?
I'll do the next one for you.
I wouldn't say it was Linda.
No, it's not far off.
No.
To be
No, you don't
but
be
it's
like
just
that.
wound up.
Yeah.
You've been at radio today. How's it all going over at Radio 1? You still having a ball of a time over there?
Do you know what? I really am. It's a funny one. I've been doing the breakfast show for nearly 6 years. 6 years next week. And I am constantly surprised by how much I love it, and I love getting up still, and I find it challenging still, and I find new bits of it that excite me, and I get to work with brilliant new people and sort of young people who are excited about being in radio, and I still find it really fun.
It's honestly so
what an
lovely
honour
to
to
see
meet
you.
you.
I think you can tell.
Yeah.
If someone's on
You
the radio
love it.
and they're not enjoying it, you go,
Yeah. You
sounds
literally
like they're phoning it in.
love
But
it.
I genuinely love sitting there doing stupid stuff all day.
You're
You're
incredible.
amazing at it. And I
Honestly,
like all
Greg.
your pranks as well. They're absolutely brilliant.
You're very naughty, and it's all in here
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
The Twits Next Door by Greg James and Chris Smith. There it is.
Thanks.
Make sure you go and get it for the kids. Always love to see you, Greg.
Thanks so much.
Come back
Greg,
soon.
well done.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. Now, we upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.